channel. Today I'm coming to you with a video on 5 things that I wish I knew, not necessarily before traveling to Grenada, but before traveling to the resort we chose to stay at. Usually I do these videos and it's like 5 things I wish I knew before traveling to that country. There's a few of those on my channel if you want to check them out. Being like, oh, I wish I knew this, I wish I knew that. So that way I can spread my knowledge to other people so that everyone else is more prepared than I was. But this case, I don't feel like there's anything I needed to know before going to that country. I just feel like there's things I needed to know before choosing this resort. So here are 5 things that I did not like about the resort that I stayed at. So the resort that we stayed at was the Marriott Royalton Resort in St. George, Grenada. It is literally 5 minutes from the airport, which is great. The first thing that I would say that bothered us the most when we were there was the lack of professionalism. Now, this resort is advertised as a 5-star resort. If I was just going to any budget-friendly hotel, especially not attached to the Marriott name, then I wouldn't have such a high expectation. I think on Google had a 4.7 out of 5-star rating. We also paid to upgrade ourselves to the Diamond Club and to have a junior suite with the swimming pool. We do that so that when we go on vacation, we really don't have to worry about a thing and we are completely catered to. So when you're spending this money, and obviously I did a lot of research before choosing this one, it's sort of like a huge letdown. What I mean is that not everything was as polished as typical 5-star resorts we've been to in the past. So when walking around the resort, typically the staff is very friendly and says hi to you when they pass, and that was really not there. And then towards the end of our trip was the beginning of spring break. There were a lot more people there. So it just looks like they turned on that professionalism when more people were around. And since the resort was less busy when we first got there, they didn't feel the need to put that extra effort in. So that was a little disappointing, walking past staff members and them not doing their job and just being on their phone. And then when they see you walk past, they quickly put their phone away because they know they're not supposed to be on their phone. That also doesn't leave the best taste in your mouth when you are spending so much money to be at a certain type of resort. Not everywhere and not every vacation is going to be perfect. Issues do happen. We're all human. Mistakes happen. Speak to people, they apologize, and they make it right. And then the rest of your trip is fine because it's usually just like a blip in the trip. Speaking to someone about the issues that we were having and not really being heard, sort of like the person on the other side was a bit confused on how to even handle what I think is a pretty typical normal hospitality issue. It seemed like the people who were very well versed on how to handle hospitality situations sat in offices and were not working with guests. My note to them, if anyone there sees this, is the training of the staff, I think, just needs to be a little bit more top notch. The professionalism was definitely not consistent. That was just a huge letdown, especially when you're trying to plan a really special trip where really special things are supposed to happen. So the next thing that I really was just such a letdown was the lack of communication. When you're staying in Diamond Club, they actually have a club room or club area. And there they have a bunch of food, breakfast foods, in the morning, lunch, and dinner and dessert. And there you can have alcoholic drinks, regular drinks, grab water bottles, and all of this is factored into the price that you're paying to be at that club level. The food, like I said in the beginning of our trip, was hardly replenished. There were no little signs saying what each thing was, and when we asked staff members who were setting up the food what things were, they didn't know what it was. It should be replenished as needed. People should know what it is that they're setting up. And they even had an espresso machine, which is fantastic. It was a Lavazza, I think, espresso machine. And they never refilled the pods. We must have asked so many people, not just us, like other club members, people on our floor, people in the same building as us, were all asking for these espresso pods. And nobody could get them for us. They'd be like, oh, I don't think they're here. Or, oh, the box is in another building. And it's like, okay, well then go get the box and bring it here. It was just, the staff was not as well trained to be in a 5-star resort. So that was the disappointing part. If it was not advertised to be this big luxury resort, then I think the disappointment would have been less. And if we weren't in suites and in the Diamond Club, again, I feel like the expectation wouldn't be there. Yeah, there was just a lot of things that went on that I feel like should not have happened or could have been taken care of. In my experience of just being in the workplace, whenever somebody asks you a question, you never just say, I don't know. You say, you know, I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I can go find out for you. And then you get back to that person. Back to the whole butler thing. It was not made clear that the butlers were for just us, for the whole building, what their hours were, if they were working on the same days, what exactly they do for us. They do give you like an orientation when you first come in, but ours got a little messed up because they gave us the wrong room. You know, it just wasn't properly explained. Like I remember around like 4 o'clock, I was trying to make spa reservations because they help you make spa reservations, and they actually get commission off of it, which I totally wanted to give them commission, you know, so that they could make money and it makes them look good in their job place. But then I never got a response. So I was a bit confused, but turns out they were off duty at that time, and I didn't know that because the hours were not made clear. And then there were one of the days where we were like, hey, we're trying to get in touch with our butler. We would like to schedule this dinner reservation or something like this. And they'd be like, oh, they're coming. And then it was like, oh, they didn't show up for work. I was hoping that no emergency happened or anything like that. However, I just feel like communicating with the guests could have been better. So whoever I was asking for my butler for, when I was asking the front desk and I was asking other staff members for certain things, the way that they were responding was just sort of like, oh, I don't know, and not like, oh, we're currently working on that for you, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Like, just sort of like a line of professionalism. It's also really hard to get in touch with people at that resort. I know my parents were trying to contact the resort so that they could send us something, like a little surprise, and nobody ever got back to them. And they tried for days. I even reached out to the resort weeks before we got there, and I wanted to plan a whole birthday surprise for my husband because it was going to be his birthday when we were there. And it did take a while for them to get back to me, but they finally did, and they said, oh, I was willing to pay for it, but they were like, oh, it's all complimentary. So I was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. So then when we arrived for the birthday surprise, there was none. Nothing was set up in the room like we had discussed. So I just feel like people are saying yes on one hand, but they're not speaking to somebody else to make everything follow through, if I'm making any sense. Because I'm trying really hard to not show how angry and annoyed I was and to be really, really diplomatic about everything. And maybe not make it sound so bad, because I'm not trying to like ruin reputations. I'm just trying to be informative. So then what you do with your butlers is you set up like a WhatsApp group chat. So then I side texted my butler saying, hey, I spoke with this person. I was supposed to have a birthday surprise set up. And she starts reading the message out loud. And I was just like, oh my God, like right in front of my husband. So then there you go, you know, surprise ruined. And then she like quickly shut up and she was like, okay, no problem. Nobody told me, she said nobody told her that that was supposed to happen. And it is her job to set that up. She was like, okay, you know, we'll get on that. So then we had to wait another half hour for our room. And when we finally got into the room, I thought that the reason why we were waiting so long was because they were setting up the birthday surprise. That's not true. They were not setting it up. Walked into the room again, no birthday surprise. Okay. So then I'm emailing, I'm speaking to the front desk. I'm saying, you know, the birthday is tomorrow. I want this to happen. They said, yes, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We leave our room. We go back, leave, go back. Housekeeping comes in. No birthday surprise. And I am livid. I'm so upset because I tried to get this done way earlier to avoid any sort of issues, and they just didn't take it seriously, didn't care. It's like one person saying yes, of course, no problem, but they're not communicating it to any of the other staff to make them aware. Whereas I feel like at a 5-star luxury resort, they're letting everybody know this guest has a birthday on this day, and staff members are coming over to us saying happy birthday, and they are doing little sweet things here and there. And none of that was happening. It was just sort of like people were showing up for the first time and have never worked in a hotel or a resort before, but yet they are the head of certain departments. I think that Marriott just recently bought the Royalton brand. Marriott, or anyone from Marriott, if you're watching this, you got to send some staff in there and just really clean up the place in that area. So they did try and make it up to us. When we went for dinner that evening, they set up a little cabana and gave us sort of like a little private dinner to the side, which was very, very nice of them. Eventually, the room did get decorated, but that's also a really funny story. They finally, I guess, got in touch with the person to do the decorating, and that person calls the room and says, hey, is it a good time to decorate the room? And guess who was on the other line answering the phone call? My husband. So, surprise, again, ruined. And they came in to set up the room while we were in the room. When I told guest services that, they were not happy to hear that. That was really, really disappointing to encounter. Just a lot of that going on every single day throughout the resort. So because of this, and being the kind of person that I am who wants to share my travel experiences with other people so that their travel experiences are then better, I took it upon myself to write in the Facebook group for the Royalton Resort in Grenada. And I wrote the whole experience down, and a lot of people were liking and commenting on it. A lot of people were agreeing with me. And like I said, I was upset because I am someone who likes to plan, and when things don't go according to plan, and I'm trying and trying and trying like 14, 15, 25 times to get something going and it's not working, then yeah, I'm gonna be a little upset. The tone of my message, I can even post it, wasn't mean. It was very, like I said, informative, because I'm not trying to just like bash any place. I'm just spreading my experience, and if you had a great experience this place, that's great, good for you. I did not. All right, so I post this Facebook post, right? And I have people commenting, and a day later, the post is gone. And I'm like, wait a minute, where's my post? I was getting all these notifications that people were agreeing with me or sharing their experiences. Why can't I see my post anymore? And that's when I learned that they delete bad reviews or bad posts about them. So this Facebook group that I was a part of was not like something a tourist made. I guess it was made by the actual hotel. Whereas a lot of these groups, someone who just loves the place just makes, and other people who love it join it, and then it's just one big party, and we all share what we love or didn't like or ask questions, and that's what I love. I love Facebook groups for that. And like I said, I do a lot of research. So when I was researching anything bad about this resort and I couldn't find it, now I know why, because they are deleting bad reviews, which is so misleading. It's not okay, because then you're not self-reflecting. You're not making yourself better as a brand or as a resort. You need to hear what the guests don't like so that you can improve yourselves, so that you can offer an even better experience. That should be the goal. The goal shouldn't be, let's conceal what we're doing bad so that people don't know. And then when they come here, they're just disappointed. That just doesn't make any sense. You should be really, really sad to find out that they do that. What confirmed that was when we were leaving, our butler goes ahead and pulls me to the side and like whispers in my ear while my husband's checking out, and is going, make sure you write a really good review on TripAdvisor. I know a lot of things went wrong, but don't mention those things. Write about the good things and write my name. And grabbed my arm and was like saying this in my ear. And I was like, okay, like, absolutely not. You delete bad reviews. I didn't have the best experience. People should know that. But why am I even going to bother writing a review when I know you're going to delete it? I thought it was so unprofessional for them, the butler, to do that. That just left the worst taste in my mouth even when leaving. So the last thing that I really did not enjoy was, well, I'd be lying if I said the food was bad. The food was not bad. The food was just normal. It was regular. It wasn't above and beyond, and it wasn't horrible or inedible in any way, shape, or form. The best place to eat is honestly the buffet. That's the only place that has a new menu every single day, and the food was made right in front of you, fresh and delicious. I do not think the other restaurants make the food on demand. I believe they spend all day making the meals, keeping them under a heat lamp, and then when you order off of the menu, which is a limited menu, they just serve it. Because when I asked for something without certain ingredients in it, they were not able to accommodate me, which is so funny because they make such a big deal on their brochures, their website, even speaking to them. What are your food allergies? You're asked that all the time. What are your food allergies? What are your food allergies? But if I'm asking for something with like no cheese or no mushrooms or something else, they can't accommodate that. But here you are spreading that you care so much about food allergies when you actually don't, because you cannot alter any of the meals. So as soon as you go to one of their restaurants, you are asked, what's your room number and do you have food allergies? So I'll say, okay, my room number is 1234 and my food allergies is non-dairy or gluten-free. The hostess who is asking that question is not communicating that to the chef, to the cooks, or to the waiters. They don't know any of that. So there's no communication between the staff. They're just sort of like reading off a script. It's sort of like they're like on autopilot. They're like, I'm supposed to ask the room number and this, and that's what I did. But there's not sort of like that restaurant feel where it's like, okay, this table this table that, some sort of communication among the staff, no sort of flow. Because they were not able to make any meal without any of the ingredients. All they did was just serve what was there. And it was a very limited menu. There wasn't a lot of options, and the menus never changed. So there's only 3 restaurants there. If you're there for a week, there's nowhere else for you to really eat. And for lunch, there was only one place to go unless you wanted to get room service. Whereas it's advertised online and even within the resort that the lunch buffet was supposed to be open, and it wasn't. Like, it was a very popular time for people to be going on vacation. It was spring break. It wasn't sort of like off season or anything like that. And there were a lot of people who were agreeing with me. And something that one of the people wrote when I commented on my Facebook post was that the place is consistently inconsistent. And that is the best way to put it. They were amazing on one hand, in one moment, and then immediately horrible the next. It was just not consistent at all, which I think you cannot advertise yourself as a 5-star luxury resort, especially attached to the Marriott name, being at a certain category, and then give that sort of experience. So I do think that the place has the potential to be 5-star and to be amazing, really up there with some of the Marriott resorts that are very well known. It could deliver that. It's just that the staff needs more training in hospitality, and other than that, it really is such a great place to visit. It was very clean. It was beautiful. The rooms were brand new, redone. Everything's beachfront, oceanfront. They have a lot to offer there. So I don't want to say that it was just a horrible, terrible experience all around. It was just really horrible and terrible in those 5 areas. It was a little annoying that there were a lot of like ants in the sand, but I don't know if that's just how Grenada is in general. So a lot of the time we just stayed in our room. Our room had like a cabana and a pool and everything like that. So you could totally check that out in my other video. But other than that, those are the things that I wish I knew, if they weren't deleting bad reviews and posts, before traveling to the Royalton Resort in Grenada. Grenada is such a beautiful country. I do think that you should still go, but maybe check out the sandals. I haven't been there, but I heard such amazing things, and when I was at the Royalton, I did really wish that I was at Sandals. So those are the 5 things I wish I knew before going to the Royalton Grenada, and thank you so much for watching. If you could please subscribe, like, leave a comment. I love hearing the feedback, and don't forget to please subscribe before you leave. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.